Hello and welcome back to Talking Teens Official. I'm Nural and thank you for joining me and for your listening ears. I just want to start today's episode by taking a breath. Just to let you know that I've been out of action most of this week. I have managed to fracture my fibula and have been in hospital. So this is being recorded from my hospital bed. So in taking a breath today, I want you to take a breath because the conversation we need to have today is a heavy one. I want you to cast your mind back to when your child was 5 or 6 years old. You were their sun. You were the center of their universe. And even on the hard days, the connection was right there on the surface. Now, fast forward to today. Maybe the door is closed. Maybe the sticky hands have been replaced by a heavy silence. And in those quiet moments, when you are honest with yourself, you might realize something painful. There is a thought that creeps in, a thought we are too scared to say out loud. I love you. I would die for you. But right now, I really don't like what you're doing. This isn't just frustration. It's a form of grief. You are grieving for the child who was easy to love while trying to figure out how to live with this stranger now who can push you away. So today I want to walk you through that guilt. I want to tell you why feeling this way doesn't make you a bad parent. It just makes you human. You know, people often ask me, how do teachers do it? They might say, Nural, you have 25 teenagers in a room. How do you not lose your minds? How do you not lose your shit and get angry at them all? How do you even like them all? And I want to share a little secret from the staff room. And this is important for you to hear to normalize what you are feeling. Teachers are professionals. We care deeply about your kids and their education. But if I'm being brutally honest, we don't like every student every single day. There are some days where a disruptive student is rude or just radiates negative energy. And we walk into the staff room and take a deep breath because they are quite frankly exhausting to be around. But here's the main difference between my job and your life. We get to send them back home at 3:30. We get to have a break. We get to recharge. You don't. They're your kids and you're stuck with them for the rest of your life 24/7. You don't get to clock off. And more importantly, your connection to them is emotional. When a student acts out in my class, it's annoying, but it doesn't break my heart. When your child acts out, it hurts, it feels personal. And this is where the guilt creeps in. You think that because you gave birth to them or because you raised them, you are supposed to enjoy their company every second of the day. But that is not simply true. We need to make a very clear distinction here. Love is unconditional. It is based on who they are. It is based on their existence. Liking them is conditional. It is based on how they behave in that moment. Right now, their behavior might be unlikable, and admitting that doesn't mean you don't love them. It just means you are distinguishing the person from the action. So how do we handle those unlikable days where they're just giving you the shits? I often use this analogy when I'm training teachers or coaching parents. Think of a teenager in a bad mood like a cactus. When they are hurting or growing or feeling overwhelmed, they grow spikes. It's a protection mechanism. The mistake we make as parents is that we try to hug that cactus. We try to force connection when their spikes are out, or we get angry that the spikes are there in the first place. And then we are surprised when we get a little pricked. We have to realize that the spikes aren't about us, they are about them. And once you realize that you are living with a cactus and you stop trying to hug the spikes, you give them a bit of space, you stop taking the behavior personally. And instead, you are looking for that little bit of glitter, that little glimmer hunter. And you have to train yourself to look for that little glimmer of glitter. Even in the hardest weeks, when 90% of their behavior is prickly, there is usually a small window, maybe just 10%, where the behavior drops away and they are still your kid. Maybe it's the 10-minute drive to soccer practice. Maybe it's the 20 minutes when you are watching a show together on the couch. Maybe it's just when they are eating their favourite food. That's what you're looking for. That's the little glimmer of glitter. And when you see it, you have to protect it. This is the most important rule of when you're hunting for this glimmer glitter. Correction is banned in that window. When they're in that space, you don't correct them. If the car ride is the only time they talk to you, don't use that time to ask about homework. Do not use the time to lecture them about how messy their room is. If you try to do correction during that phase, the spikes will come straight back out and you will lose that connection. Pour your energy into that space, and it might only be 10% of the time, but it won't stay that way forever. Make sure you laugh with them, feed them. It will remind you that the child you still love is in there, hiding behind the behaviour you aren't particularly a fan of. But I know what you're thinking. Nural, that sounds lovely, but what about the bad days? What about when I can't find a glimmer and I'm about to lose my shit? When you're in that zone, when the behaviour is awful and you feel your own temper rising, you need to give yourself permission to step away. You need to tap out. When I feel myself getting angry, I stop. I look at my kids and I say, I can't deal with this right now because I'm getting angry. Go away and come back in 30 minutes. It sounds harsh, right? But by tapping out, you are protecting the relationship. You are refusing to let your anger add to the chaos. You are modeling emotional regulation. But here's the most important part. You cannot just tap out and disappear. If you walk away and then just come back and start cooking dinner in silence, that silence feels like rejection. You have to master coming back once you tap out. After you have calmed down, you have to go back to them. You need to walk in and say, okay, I'm calm now. I'm sorry, I got frustrated. Let's try that again. I often say it to my kids when I need to tap out. I'll just say to them, just go away, get out of my face, give me half an hour and I'll come and find you. This is the magic when you do this. What you are doing is you're teaching your kid that a bad moment is not the end of the relationship once you go back to them. You're teaching them that it's possible to be angry, to step away and to come back with love. So let's bring this all together in true teacher style. I'll recap. We started by facing the hard truth. Loving your child and liking their behaviour are two different things, and that is okay. We talked about the difference between my job and your life. I get to send them home at 3 o'clock, and you're doing the hard work. We learned the metaphor of the cactus and the little glimmer of glitter, and we stopped trying to hug the spikes and start hunting for that 10% window of connection. And finally, I talked about how to tap out and then come back. It's okay to walk away when you're angry, as long as you come back. This whole conversation reminds me of the work of Dr. Brené Brown, who teaches us the difference between shame, I am bad, and guilt, I did something bad. Disliking your kid's behaviour isn't shameful, it's just information. It tells you that you are burnt out or that the boundaries have been crossed. So please, be gentle with yourself. You're not a bad parent. You are just having a hard season. Hang in there. That's it for today. And if you are listening to this and you feel a knot in your chest loosen a little bit, then we've done our job. If you enjoyed this episode and want to continue the conversation, please follow and subscribe on all my social media channels. And if you find real value in what we're doing here, please consider buying me a coffee. I'll put a QR code in the comments and the show notes. Last but not least, I'm going to invite you to join my school community. It's where we actually support each other through the prickly days. Just have a quick Google of Talking Teens Official on Google and it'll come up with the school community. Until next time, remember, connection over correction. I'm Nural, and this is Talking Teens Official.